This is Gavin Foote and Kristen Clayton and Sparks Fly. Good tune. She sounds like Taylor. Good tune.
Yeah, this is good. What is this song today?
This is a local couple of people.
Really?
Kristen Clayton and Gavin Foote and Sparks Fly.
Talent.
Yeah, sounds good. A lot of talent in the Twin Cities and beyond. Mm-hmm. And a lot of talent in that studio. Now, normally we would be doing the news here, but we are not because it is Thursday. That means Fargo Flash is here. Thomas is here. Best day of the week. No Ben.
But what happened to Ben? Did he pass?
I know he's got to take care of the babes.
Do you want to know where the body is?
Oh.
Maybe. Another Bundy reference.
Anyway.
Yeah, can we quit that? Let's quit.
That's where you draw the line, dead bodies?
Yeah.
Left breast.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yes, that's where I'll draw the line.
Fantastic.
Dragging my ass.
Wow.
Who is that?
Pat Kessler. I listened to him on Barrel last night. I'm like, this guy's a gold mine.
Yeah, he is.
He's hilarious, man.
Know it all.
Pat Kessler's excellent.
Have you consumed marijuana?
Yes.
Sayonara, suckers.
Yesterday.
I know. Yeah, I got Derek over there right now going through the entire 2 segments because Kessler's going to be the new Mark Rosen.
He's a gold mine. Kessler's.
That's right.
Is that the hockey
Zach,
Kessler?
relax.
Is that who it is?
Huge Gopher fan, though.
No, Pat
Yeah.
Kessler.
Pat Kessler, news guy. Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer.
CCO, Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
as of this
excellent.
weekend, going in the Hall of Fame.
His
Pat
wife's
Kessler.
awesome, too.
Yeah. Pat
Yeah,
Kessler,
man.
Wales.
Sounds like the greatest guy ever.
And as Flash said, he's a huge Gopher fan.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him last week tailgating.
He said that they left the game, I think during the third quarter,
Yeah.
because Mem was so upset, his wife. And on the way home, he started to talk to her about the game, and she looked at him, put her hand on his arm, and said, "We will never speak of this day again." I'm like, yeah, I love her. She's the best.
Yep.
Anyway,
the game was a tough one.
We're going to speak of it again right now.
I don't know if I've ever seen a game shift as much as it did from first half to second
It was
half.
shocking.
It wasn't
Truly,
Everyone
it was shocking.
It was. Didn't make sense.
What happened defensively, Flash? Because, it was just the seas parted in the second half, and that running back was just running wild.
Well, and if you remember, so the first quarter we have what I called the only mistake in the first half was the interception that Brosmer threw, which was actually a mix-up, I believe, between the running back and the quarterback. You think he's going to go one way and he goes the other, and so it's actually not as bad as it actually looked because it was a good play call. It was a check down and great read by the linebacker. So we put Iowa on a short field, they score, and then we have a great second quarter. We score 2 touchdowns, but right before the half, we're in a prevent, and you could see for the first time in the half, Iowa start to do something with the run game. So I actually walked into halftime a little bit questioning, like, what was that about? Because they kind of ripped off a couple long runs. But again, we're back in a prevent, so I could get my head around, okay, that was kind of a one-off deal. Well, then you sit down for the second half, and if you didn't sit down quick enough, Iowa drove the field in about 90 seconds. And it opened up with a play-action pass. Then they rip off a long run with a penalty. And then it snowballs from there. And that was kind of a preview of what the third quarter was going to be. And the difference was, it was more of a fundamentally sound first half where you had 11 hats getting to the ball carrier kind of fundamentally and wrapping him up and containing him. And if you watch that third quarter, guys are flying to the football, but not the greatest angles, not getting off of blocks the way they did in the first half. And then a lot of times you had a tackler going in to make a tackle, and another guy comes in and kind of like hits him off the tackle. It's like it was the weirdest thing, and it happened a number of different times, which made a 3 or 4 yard run spring for 15 to 20. And so you got to get back to having like fundamentally sound football at the point of attack. Number one, it starts with getting off a block and making sure you don't stay blocked. That's defensive linemen. Linebackers and safeties, you have to make sure you work together to tackle a ball carrier like the guy they had last week, who was exceptional. And then the third thing, if those first 2 don't work, you have to make sure the safeties are taking the proper angles to contain long runs to be more medium versus kind of going the distance. And so that snowballing effect of the D-line couldn't get off of blocks like they did in the first half, kind of poor tackling at the point of contact with the linebackers and secondary, and then bad angles, made for a disastrous second half. And Corey, you can read the stats, but everything, it's like the third quarter is like Gopher 15-ish yards, and I think Iowa 200 plus.
I'm a little man.
How do we fix that for Saturday, though? Or is it just not fixable in 1 week? Is this Michigan offense going to run it up on us as well from the running game? Because, Sauce, you said earlier this week, and I don't know much about Michigan football, but I guess they have a similar format of not a great quarterback, but they can run the ball.
How many times did they run the ball last week? Honestly, how many times do you know?
Did Michigan?
Yeah, I think they threw the ball for like 58 yards.
Michigan threw the ball for, I think, 32 yards. I believe the quarterback was 7 of 12. It was his first start as a quarterback, but this is a game more so than Iowa. You have to sell out to stop the run. That's what Michigan does, and they were fairly successful last week. They ran against a USC defense, which again I think is still finding their way. We've talked about this before. When you look at USC defenses, they've been atrocious the last few years. So this defense is better than they've been, but by no means I don't think is a defense that's arrived. So what Michigan did is really because they don't have a quarterback that can really make it work through the air, they commit to the run. And so if you're going to have if you're having success this week against Michigan, it is to shore up everything that happened in the second half last week for the Gophers and being much more fundamentally sound against the run. And the only thing that I would see, and it's kind of a personnel decision, Minnesota often sits in a nickel defense where they take off a linebacker, they put in a fifth defensive back, and that guy's Jack Henderson, and he's a little bit of a jackknife, pun intended, because he is great against the run, and maybe better against the run than he is defending the pass. So he's almost like a linebacker. But when you're going up against Michigan, and because of they're so committed to the run, it's almost schematically you could think of doing something different than you did last week. I mean, I wouldn't say you're in goal line defense, but you're in a run defense that I would expect maybe to see more defensive fronts on Saturday that put true 3 linebackers on the field and maybe Jack Henderson back at that safety position. So it's a little bit scheme, and then it's probably more the fundamentals. Like, it's less about making these violent tackles. It's more about fundamentally getting 11 hats around the ball, but the ball carrier to break it down and contain runs.
I love it.
They ran 46 times.
46?
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah.
So just make them beat it through the air. That's just sell out. Just run blitz every play.
Yeah.
Just get aggressive. What's there to lose? Right? Like, just go out.
Sell out against the run.
Right.
Totally.
So if we sell out against the run and make them throw, maybe we get a turnover, we stick around in the third quarter, and then who knows? That's what we got to wish for.
I think
11 guys on the line of scrimmage.
That's what I'm saying.
If you can throw it, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sell out.
So I think we're all probably more concerned with the Minnesota defense given what happened in the second half. But offensively, a huge shift as well, right? If you think of the success that Max Brosmer had in that second quarter, 10 straight completions, the best we've seen him in his first 4 games, which actually allowed the run game to go a little bit against a great run defense for Iowa. Where did that go in the second half?
Right.
Iowa, I don't know. I really don't think there was major changes made at halftime for Iowa. But the one thing Iowa did change is they brought more pressure. And so when Minnesota, which we tried to commit to the run, which I questioned in that third quarter, but when we did try to pass, I felt for Max Brosmer because that offensive line continues to struggle. And with just bringing a single guy, Tommy, four down linemen, and you're bringing a fifth, so it's 5-on-5, which that's I think you should win 5-on-5. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't, and that pressure put enough pressure on Max Brosmer to be inaccurate through the air. Yeah. So we're the offensive line is, and again, you're not going to run this week against Michigan, guys. This is as strong of a front that you will see the entire year. Michigan has the 2 of the strongest defensive tackles in the country.
Graham.
Yeah,
oh my God,
dude!
He's a top 5.
I mean, Michigan. I mean, the crazy one. So running the football this week is going to be really difficult. So I would be really. You're going to have to throw, and again, it's not like it's an easy team to throw on, right? This is the crazy thing about Michigan. They returned 4 starters from last year's national championship team. They returned the number 1 tight end in the country. They returned the number 1 defensive tackle in the country, and the number one cornerback in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, but they do have a lot of changes. They have coaching changes.
Yeah.
You have a first-time head coach. You have new coordinators. So there's a reason why Michigan's down, because I know they reload, but you still have to give these guys game experience. And like Tommy said, because I happened to turn on the radio as I'm coming in, this is a Michigan team that's patting themselves on the back.
I agree.
Right? They came off of a huge come-from-behind victory against USC last week.
Massive.
Talk about it.
And again, USC jumped on them, right? But and then the second thing is throw on the film. Talk about the rivalry.
That's what I'm saying.
Is it a rivalry?
And how many?
No,
how many?
it's
16
not.
new starters. 16.
Yeah.
Right? You just said. Think of all those guys.
Yeah, all those 5-star.
They're all feeling themselves now. Oh, we just beat USC.
Totally.
And we're starters now.
Throw in the second half
We're
last
starters.
week.
Yeah. I mean, these
Talk
guys are
about
trash.
it. What are you trying to tell me, guys?
They're overthinking it.
Well, they look past Minnesota
100%.
because you just throw on the film. I mean,
That's it.
You throw on the film. You came through this huge victory last week.
Yep.
Last week, actually, 11 starters on offense, because the tight end's hurt right now. He's supposed to come back this week. 11 of the starters for Michigan did not start a year ago. You're literally, and this again, they're early in their playing days,
Yes.
so they are talented, as Meat Sauce said, but they haven't had a lot of game experience. This is their look past game, because again, I really think for Minnesota, you're catching them at the right time, and as we've seen all week, this point spread's changed. I think it's changing because I think a lot of people are thinking like Corey over here. They're putting the money in Michigan. And that's slowly moving, I think, the point spread down to Minnesota.
Let's combine the loves of all of you. Gopher football and mock drafts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nothing from me.
Well, yeah.
Sauce, SI.com
Yeah.
has their 2025 NFL mock
Oh,
draft.
hell yeah.
How many Michigan Wolverines are in the top 16?
3.
4.
It's 4.
Really? Who's the
So
fourth?
16th, they have the Chargers taking Colston Loveland, the tight end.
That's the tight end,
Yeah.
yeah.
15th, Kenneth Grant, the defensive
Yeah.
tackle.
That's the one I missed.
And then Mason Graham, the other one.
And then Will.
Exactly, the
Johnson.
cornerback.
Wow.
Dude.
4.
Yeah, good
Will
luck.
Johnson, and then Will Johnson goes
That'll
6th
We'll be fine.
to the
Okay.
Colts,
Sing it.
and Mason
We'll be
Graham
fine.
goes
Tell us
4th to
about
the
it.
Bears.
They turned the-
4
they-
in the top 16 is what they project.
But you know, they haven't played a lot.
Well, see,
The other guys haven't.
And they
And
turn the
those-
film on, and they're going to be like, man, we're going to run all over
They're
these
gonna
guys.
run
So
along.
Check this out. You know, they have a little paragraph on each player, right? All 4 of them say, like this one, Mason Graham goes 4 to the Bears. Would have been significantly higher had they not overlooked the Gophers.
Wow, I can't believe
I'm a
they
little
wrote
mad.
that.
Says it for
Affects
all
their
4
draft
of
status.
Yep. They get it. They understand football.
They get it. They got it.
understand football.
they get it.
So this is where it's a rebound week, right? You don't let one loss become 2, and get back to fundamental football. So defensively, the great thing is this is a one-dimensional Michigan team.
That's all they
They're
got.
only going to be able to run the football or try to run the football, right? And then offensively, we're going to have to try to catch them off guard a little bit through the pass. And I think it's, again, I talked last week and I thought it would be a much more of a lower scoring game. But I think this is similar, right? I keep going back and forth. Is it a field goal? Is it a touchdown?
Sing it.
I think what happens here is there's a couple plays in special teams that make the difference. I like Dragan Kesic. I think our punt coverage improves. I think in the kicking game is an advantage. I think Michigan, we find them and we win the turnover battle. Yep. I don't think we'll win the time of possession. I think it's going to be hard for this Minnesota team to stay on the field.
Keep talking.
But they stay on the field long enough to make the plays late in this game. Their defense keeps us hanging around. I have Minnesota winning on a walk-off field goal, just like in 1986 with Chip Lowmiller.
It's a walk-off.
This time is Dragan Kesic. Minnesota 20, Michigan 17.
You guys were talking positive, so I checked out for a second. SI.com.
No.
SI.com has the Seahawks drafting 31st. That's a little optimistic. Guess who they have the Seahawks taking with the 31st pick in the
Ariante.
draft? That is
Ariante.
correct. Offensive tackle,
go, baby.
Minnesota.
Look at us. We don't need to win time of possession this week.
How do you say his name? Ariante Ursary?
Ursary.
What a cool name.
They call him Tay.
He's really
Tay.
good.
But think about it.
Pop music.
When we do this, and they can run the game, they can run the ball the whole time. We just bend, don't break.
Exactly.
Max goes out there, throws some darts at the big house, walk off field goal, game over. I'm telling you, there's a very good chance that happens. They will dominate the run game. There's nothing we can do. Just got to slow them down. Keep them under 150 yards. We will win the game.
I believe the exact same thing. I think they're going to get their yards, but they're not.
100%.
They're not rushing for 290 yards on this Gopher defense.
But if
they're not a chance.
They know, and then we're going to bring the blitz. We're going to force turnovers, get a short field, and then we're going to have a nice couple pass plays, and then good field goal.
Their quarterback was erratic at best in the pass.
Kicking game, we're going to win.
Oh, you're going to win that punt game.
Yeah.
They're going to be punting a lot.
You laugh about it. I'm telling you, that's the biggest play in football. That's the biggest play in football.
And we struggled a week ago.
Yes.
The punting game is better in the big house.
I agree. We're going to make them take long drives, 10 to 12 plays that'll shorten the game, shorten the clock. We'll throw the ball. We can score.
And the greatest thing about this winning the jug this week, it's National Game of the Week.
That's what I'm saying.
This is Gus Johnson.
Big nooner.
We got
Have you
Gus
consumed
Johnson.
marijuana?
That's the best part.
Yes,
I can't wait to listen.
I love hearing Gus.
Gus and Joy.
Play-by-play. I know.
Can you beat it?
Sayonara, suckers.
Right. That'll be us with the jug leaving.
I hope you guys are right. I really do. I'll gladly pay you the money.
You win the jug, you hang out, you enjoy it in the afternoon, and then, man, is there a Saturday night of football.
Best games ever.
It's so much fun. Tell me about it.
And I threw the chum out this week again to my boy
Jesus.
Lieber. And Lieber, I
Tommy
went
ate
back
all of it.
So the game I really wanted was
Use me as a toilet.
number 19 Illinois, which had a big victory last week at Nebraska.
I had no idea.
Good. Brett Bielema brings his guys to Penn State. Penn State whiteout is a 19-point favorite.
19?
19.
Yeah. No way. I'll bet someone right now.
Money.
I'll bet someone right now.
19. That's too much.
But the more important game this week, which is where we have my bet with Lieber, is number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama. It's the first time since November 3rd of 2000 that Alabama is a home underdog.
Oh my heavens.
He's
pretty good.
Wow.
And if you watch these teams play the first couple of weeks, you could say, okay, Alabama, Jalen Milroe, a little bit of a slow start at Wisconsin, but again, then same thing with South Florida, but they kind of stick with their game plan, and eventually they just throttle teams. And again, I think those are Wisconsin probably struggling, but when they get together, they throttle teams. And then you look at what Georgia's done. Well, Georgia's struggled. I mean, if you watch the Georgia-Kentucky game just a couple of weeks ago, night game at Kentucky, they struggled. And so this is one of those games that this is National Game of the Week.
Massive.
Carson Beck, the great quarterback for Georgia, little bit banged up, sprained AC joint. So they've kind of been hit with the injury bug, Georgia. So, and again, I think they're a little bit more one-dimensional Alabama, but Jalen Milroe to me is one of the most exciting players in college football. He can do it with his legs. He can do it through the air. I got Georgia. All right. Ben's got Georgia. I have Alabama. I believe his sauce is at +2.
It's 2 right now.
Yep. So Lieber's got Georgia -2. I have Bama +2.
Yeah.
I like my chances.
Appreciate it, Flash. Good luck against the Wolverines on Saturday.
We'll bring in the jug next Thursday, guys.
Right.
Yes, we will.
Sauce, you want to run through sports after this?
Yeah, can't wait.
He can't wait.
Tommy, do you have to go or can you stick?
I can stick.
Okay.
Might as well stick, buddy.
More of the Power Trip after this on the Fan.
Let's go to Hy-Vee.
Time now for the Vikings Report, presented by Hy-Vee, the official grocery partner of the Minnesota Vikings. Linebacker Jonathan Grenard joins the Power Trip next, thanks to Hy-Vee.
And the Fan.
That was Nordo. And this is the Power Trip Morning Show. Sadly, our main man, Tommy Olsen, had to go to work.
Had to go. Changed his mind.
Yeah.
Got to get out of here.
Well, he was told he had to go to work.
Which is fine. We have sports to get to right now. Tom Pelissero in the next segment. And then Parker Fox.
Trip, presented by All Around Property Preservation.
Thank you all around.
Go for it, Sauce.
The Minnesota Twins finally won a game as they beat the miserable Marlins 8-3.
He's pretty good.
Thank you. I love Pat Kessler. Buxton hit a 450-foot home run in the fourth to tie the game 3-3, and then they rolled it to make it an 8-3 win. The only problem, though, is the Mariners, Tigers, and Royals all won. So with 4 games left, the Twins are 2 back for the final wild card spot.
I had no idea.
Oh, thank you, Pat. They play the Marlins again tonight. That is Twins News brought to you by Quantum Fiber.
Marlon?
He just left.
Who left?
Marlon.
The clownfish.
He has to go to work.
Yeah. Oh, got it. Sorry.
Got an email saying, hurry up and get to work.
Quit saying weird things on the radio.
He's going to dress up as a clownfish for Halloween, and somebody's going to say, Happy Halloween. He's going to say, it's Halloween?
Yeah. Huh?
T-Boy and Clownfish.
T-Boy is such a good bit. Maxo, the Lynx beat the Mercury last night, 101-88 to advance in the WNBA playoffs. Nafisa Collier had 42, tying a WNBA playoff record to lead the Lynx. They will battle the Connecticut Sun on Sunday at 7:30 at Target Center.
Yeah, that makes zero sense. I don't really get the Sunday game bit for the WNBA, but Nafisa Collier was incredible last night, man. I mean, she's on the court with legends like Diana Taurasi, like Brittany Griner, who, as Huck said, is gigantic, by the way. Seeing her in real life is absurd. And it's insane when you see her that she's not just scoring 70 points every single game, you know?
I know nothing about basketball. I had the same thought on Sunday, Max. Why don't they just pass her the ball?
It seems like right, she's huge, but that's how good the Lynx defense is, man. They were swarming. I mean, the Phoenix, the Mercury, they could barely even pass the ball to each other without the Lynx getting a hand on it. And Fee was just another level. She's on the court, like I said, with legends, and looks a step above everyone. And then, Courtney Williams was amazing. Bridget Carlton. It's just, that's the thing with the Lynx. Like, Fee is going to do her thing. She's going to have amazing games, but that she has such a good supporting cast that you never have to worry about the others showing up, man. And then, and when you play defense like that, you can win any game. And it was fun. It was a playoff atmosphere in there as well. It was fun to have some playoff basketball in Minnesota before we have some more playoff basketball in Minnesota around March, April time. But that was awesome, man. I think they can win the whole damn thing.
The plan is working. I mean, Cheryl Reeve doing what she does. She's put this team back together the way she wanted it to be, and it's working.
Cheryl was not happy early on. Phoenix was kind of getting on him early on. Cheryl kind of called the timeout like a couple minutes into it. She was livid. I see why Barnes has the fear of God from Cheryl, man. She does not play any games, man, and she got them right, and then it was back and forth until it wasn't. The Lynx started taking over, and now they're off.
What time did you say the game was Sunday?
7:30.
Yeah, again, at least it's not noon. You know what I mean?
No, you don't want it to go against the Vikes, but it is going against Bills Ravens. And if you're a diehard Lynx fan, you're still watching it. I get it.
Yeah.
But when you're going up against the NFL, you're giving your chance zero possibility to bring in a casual sports fan, that's how you grow the game, right? Sure, the niche is going to be happy no matter when you play the game. Even if you played it at noon on Sunday, Lynx fans would still show up going, "This is my squad."
Yeah.
You're losing the chance at a casual fan if you go against the NFL.
Well, Bonus will need something to do because the Twin season will be over.
Oh,
I see what you did there.
Thank you. Speaking of seasons that are over, the Gophers battle Michigan on Saturday at 11, pregame at 9. The Gophers are 2-2. They've lost 5 straight Big Ten games, and they are 9.5-point underdogs on Saturday. The over-under is 35.5. Week 4 starts tonight with Giants hosting the Cowboys, which is probably being talked about on ESPN right now.
It is.
Oh, my God, it is. The Cowboys are 6-point favorites.
We're about to have .com Tom on, and we're doing something a little different this week, right, Zacho?
Yeah, the Power Hour is coming early.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey.
That's right.
So we're going to start it in a couple minutes here, so you can watch KFAN.com/watch, and you'll be able to see Tom in his fancy home studio.
Well, he's used to being on TV, so why not just put him on TV for us?
Hey, he's a good-looking man.
Downgrade from the NFL Network to the Power 2 Morning Show.
Is it true that we might have a shot at having Jeff Darlington on? Is that real?
I've heard some good things on that.
That's sweet.
Very possible.
The guy on ESPN, you know who he is, Hug.
Sure.
Yeah.
He looks like Dylan.
Yeah.
Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network to talk Vikings and the NFL and more right after this Power 2 Morning Show.
I'm on it too many times. I've seen it all before.
Here's some Briggsy. No pay out of pocket.
Opportunities for you to be
a stereotype. That's cool. So Briggsy's mom is a listener of the Power Trip, and she sent him a text and said, "Hey, you should send your music into the Power Trip. They're playing local music," and so he did. So thanks, Briggsy's mom.
Cool.
Now your history, you're getting no sleep and spend all your time on THC.
Like Jack Johnson or something, right? Jason Mraz.
Yeah.
You've got to pay out
that right there, you're right. Nailed it.
down.
A little bit like
Always guessing where will you end up.
little bit like Chumbawamba and Vanilla Ice and OMC and Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, and OMC. Yeah.
But better.
Yeah.
Better. Every Thursday
Nice
on the
job.
Power Trip Morning Show, we talk to Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. We do Vikings news / NFL news with .com Tom.
Tom?
Hey, I cried.
Oh, he's crying tonight.
Is that
Wait,
what-
but here we are. We
There
made
he
it.
is. Hey! Look at how good you look. Look at you.
Yeah, how about that?
I got an echo. Maybe I'll take that out of that. No, that didn't work.
Sacco.
I've got it.
Whoa.
You're making it worse, Hawk.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Just hit all the buttons.
Whoa.
Any ideas there, Lecco?
Working on it. Not sure what's going on.
Let me plug in headphones. One moment, please.
He's gonna
Corey,
play
kill some time.
Yeah.
All right,
you
kill
guys-
some time.
I'm gonna watch him. Look at him.
Rhode Island, neither a road nor an island.
You know what, dude?
Discuss.
I don't have a spot in my place that looks as cool as his does behind him.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, he's
a
got the cool
football back
lighting.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and helmets. What are those
Yeah.
helmets up there?
Man.
I think once his
All right, how
NFL
about that?
network.
We sounded better?
That's much
good?
better, isn't it?
Yeah, sounds great.
There we go.
There you go.
All
We'll
right.
take that.
It's all a big experiment. Yeah, the helmets. So basically, 95% of this stuff back here is not mine.
Oh, okay.
They put everything back there. The only stuff that is mine is a little bit blurred right there, but those are my original starting lineup guys up there. So we got the Boz.
Yeah.
We got Dickerson, Jim Everett. We got a Darren Nelson back there as well.
Nice.
Well, you can tell somebody got one on clearance back in the day. And this is actually a real thing. So in a few weeks, I'm moving, and they have to figure out how to disassemble this and move it into the new house.
No kidding.
And so we've had multiple conference calls on the subject, but I think we got to figure it
So
out.
wait a minute. When you say they, this is what the NFL Network wants your home to look like. They want the listeners to think that behind you represents you somehow.
Right. It's actually a false wall. It's built in front of the wall, covering up the window. And so I was told it's mid-century modern. There was a podcast a couple of years ago where Peter Schrager, one of my colleagues at NFL Network, he had Paul Rudd on, and Paul Rudd did an entire bit about how much he likes the triangles in my set, because I do have a lot of isosceles triangles back there. So we haven't changed it. 6 years and running here.
Where are you moving?
Closer to you, actually. Just moving a little bit west of where I live right now.
All right.
Oh, that's cool.
We're like, 5 minutes apart now. Now we're going to be even closer and still not spend time together.
A solid 2 minutes. Yeah, exactly. So come over. We'll hang. We'll do
All right. Let's start with the defensive player of the week in the NFC, Jonathan Grenard. He is younger than Danielle Hunter. He's a little bit cheaper than Danielle Hunter, but man, we all were excited about the possibilities, even if we weren't super familiar with his game. But what a start he's been off to the first 3 games. 4 sacks, 3 of them on Sunday, and he was just everywhere. And that was the same way like against the New York Giants. He was all over the field against the Giants, even though he didn't rack up the stats. But on Sunday that changed with 3 times getting to CJ Stroud. What a beast.
He had a nice little revenge game factor. He's going up against offensive line and players that he knows pretty well, and he absolutely took advantage of it. I think that Jonathan Grenard was such a fascination because, he's young and he's very talented, and the question was just, is he a 70 snap a game type of guy? Is he going to be able to do like the high volume stuff? But if you think about how Kwesi has really approached the roster here, in a lot of cases, it's been find that guy who has the traits, who has the productivity, who's younger, who, even though you pay a lot of money for him, there's more upside than, say, bringing back a Danielle Hunter, who, of course, went to Houston in free agency and happened to put that low hit on Sam Darnold that had the entire state holding its breath there for a second. So, Grenard's he's a very intelligent guy. You guys know him, and listening to him after games, like he's a very thoughtful, engaging type of a dude. They got such a good locker room there that you're always worried when you pay a lot of money for somebody who's not in the locker room. What are you bringing in? With Grenard, you're around the guy for 5 minutes. You go, I get it, even beyond the football, why this one made sense for the Vikings.
The Vikings should 100% prepare to face Jordan Love, right?
Well, I wouldn't say 100%, Sauce, just because, the Packers last week really went through the week and believed that Jordan Love had a shot to play in that game. The very first week, coming off the Brazil game, when everyone in the world said there's no way he's playing, when Matt LaFleur was going to the podium and leaving the door open, that was legit. So every week that you get further along here, Jordan Love's getting healthier. He's getting closer to returning. The original timetable was 3 to 6 weeks. There was always optimism, even when they were on the plane back from Brazil, that maybe he was going to be on the shorter end of that spectrum. Well, this Sunday would be 23 days since the injury, so it's basically right on 3 weeks. There's a couple of steps left here. One, the Packers doctors, who historically are very conservative, need to clear him. I would anticipate that would be something that would happen just because it's an MCL sprain. It's not the type of an injury where if you go out there and play on it, you're going to make it worse. MCLs can heal while you play. You brace it up, and you're not going to be as mobile as you normally would be, but you're probably not going to make it worse. So that's one step. The second step is Jordan Love, in concert with the medical staff and the coaching staff, has to say, I feel good about this. I'm ready to go. I feel like I can protect myself. I feel like I can function. Those steps haven't happened in these past couple of weeks here. So I would fully anticipate we're going all the way into Friday, maybe Saturday and Sunday with, uncertainty, at least externally, about what's going to happen here. The Packers knew pretty well by last Saturday that Jordan Love was not going to be able was not going to go in that game. Where are we at by the end of this week? How does he feel on the field? Those are the unknowns, but there's also, it's the Vikings. They're 3-0. They're coming to Lambeau Field. If that's not the type of game that gets you, pumped up and you want to be out there, I don't know what would be.
Tom Pelissero is our guest, and he's brought to you by Bell Bank. Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. You can nominate a charity of your choice right there at KFAN.com for your chance to be selected each week. Then tune in the Power Trip every Thursday morning. We're going to tell you at 7:40 during Tom's segment which charity in person was selected. So go to KFAN.com, put in the keyword Bell, and you'll find out more information. Tom, we've got a great bunch of coaches on this squad. In fact, one of the things you can say about this squad is how much fun it is to watch what the defense does week in and week out, because you really just don't know, and neither does the other offense. That said, Brian Flores is probably on a lot of people's short list to be a head coach next year. Or is he? What is your feeling about the league's thoughts on Brian Flores right now?
Well, listen, whenever hockey gets the opportunity to go in and interview for jobs, there's going to be a lot of questions about what happened in Miami, not just the comments by Tua, but there was a lot of that stuff in the ether. Anytime that a coach who is as well regarded as a tactician as Brian Flores gets let go after his third year, you're going to have natural questions, and they're going to find that there are some people that, Flores absolutely rubbed the wrong way in Miami. He has said himself that there's some things from a leadership perspective that he would need to adjust moving forward. But if the Vikings continue to do what they're doing, there's no reason to believe that Brian Flores is not going to be a head coaching candidate, even at a time that he's still got active litigation against the NFL and against several teams. I was down on the sideline in the final minute of that game against the Texans. And, for anybody who hadn't turned off the TV yet, 'cause I'm sure a bunch of people already were going, this game's over. CJ Stroud's out. They got Davis Mills in the game. They still have Diggs and Nico Collins. The receivers are still out there. But it's a 27-point game, and the Texans are still throwing. They're trying to score. So they get down inside of the 10-yard line. It's a fourth down. Again, it's a 27-point game. And Brian Flores is stalking the sideline this is for the Super Bowl. This is a big play. He was not going to let the Texans get a cheap touchdown on him. So what does he do? Calls a blitz on fourth down, and they get in Davis Mills' face. And it's an incompletion. And Flores was pumped up. He was hugging everybody. He goes out on the field. I'm standing out there waiting for Aaron Jones. And Flo and I make eye contact, and he goes, "You already know, Tom. You already know." He was absolutely jacked up. That was they had just finished off a 3-point game. He is intense. He is dialed in. He is really, really smart with football. Absolutely, Brian Flores should be a head coach in the NFL again. I believe that he will be a head coach in the NFL again. The really interesting thing to watch here will be, again, it's early in the season, right? It's 3 games. But the Vikings are still playing like this. And if Flo is having this type of success, how many interviews does he get? Where are those interviews and how does the process go? Because, again, there's some things that he's going to have to answer, but there's no question he's a hell of a football coach.
Speaking of Miami, what do you think they do at quarterback short term, and how long do you think Tua's going to be out?
So on the second part of that, Sauce, Tua is out till at least, I believe it's week 8, so end of October, because he's on injured reserve. They could have not placed him on IR, which would have, because they got a bye. Their 4th game after the injury was a bye. So they could have said, hey, 3 weeks plus the bye, that's a month, let's keep him up. But they wanted to, as they have throughout the process, remove the anxiety of, the week-to-week timetables and the questions. He's still going through seeing specialists this week. Continuing to seek answers on his latest concussion. In terms of when he could get back, that's all going to depend in part on the feedback. But the advice that they had gotten, and every doctor is going to say this when you have a player with a history of concussions, which is, you probably need a month to make sure that the concussion fully resolves. You still got to go through the protocol. You still got to get cleared by an independent neurologist who's going to take all the feedback from the other doctors. But, Tua wants to be back on the field. I mean, look at last week. He makes the trip across the country. It's like, a 6-hour flight to Seattle. He's on the sideline. He's got an earbud in, listening to the plays. He's over there communicating with his teammates. That's permissible. I actually checked with the league on this. He's treated like any other player on injured reserve, which is he can't participate, he can't practice, he can't be on the field, can't go through warm-ups, but he can be on the sideline, he can be in meetings, and he's been doing all that stuff. The doctors cleared him to do all those things, and that's what Tua wanted. Basically what the doctors told him was, hey, if you're feeling good, go about all your normal activities, just not the on-the-field football stuff. And so Tua's in the building, every day when he's not out seeking medical feedback here. I would really anticipate that Tua, again, pending clearance by everybody, pending Tua feeling good about it, will be back on the field, and potentially it could be by the end of October, early November. In terms of what they do in the short term, they like Skylar Thompson, what they saw from him back in the preseason. He won the job over Mike White as the number 2 quarterback here. But obviously there's not a long track record on Skylar Thompson. He got beat to a pulp in that game the other day. He's got a really painful rib injury. We'll see over the course of the week if he has any chance to play. It seems like coming out of the gate, probably not, which then your options are Tim Boyle, who's a practice squad quarterback. We've seen Tim Boyle, good guy, smart enough to be, your third stringer. You probably don't want to play with him in a game. The guy who's actually played and had some success in the NFL is Tyler Snoop Huntley, who brings a totally different type of an element to the table in terms of you can run them, you can do designed runs, you can run zone read. Maybe it's kind of like, going all the way back to, Kyle Shanahan's days when he was in Washington and you were just, throwing out a lot of your offense, which is very similar to the Mike McDaniel offense. And you were running different concepts with Robert Griffin III because that was what his skill set was. McDaniel trained under Kyle Shanahan for a long time. Is there a way that you can come out and maybe surprise people by running totally different stuff they've never seen the Dolphins run on tape with Snoop Huntley? They play, I believe it's a Monday night game. And so that'll be really interesting to see. Right now, just my guess, I would say Snoop Huntley gets the start this week. Where does it go from here? That'll depend in part on how this game goes, the health of Skylar Thompson, and ultimately what type of feedback they're getting on Tua, because you're not going to pursue a long-term, big trade type of situation if you think Tua's back in a month or so. If they start getting information that, hey, it might be longer on Tua, then you got to start thinking, okay, what are some of the bigger, bolder moves we might have to make?
Couple final questions for Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, thanks to Bell Bank, and then we'll wrap it up. But Tom, Trevor Lawrence, $55-ish million a year. He's getting his ass kicked in Jacksonville. They've lost 1 billion straight games this year, 0-3, and he has a completion percentage of 52.8, and he's thrown 2 touchdowns through 3 games. Do we have immediate buyer's remorse in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence's contract?
Well, listen, 0-3 is bad, Corey. 0-8 is worse, and that's Trevor Lawrence's record in his last 8 starts, going back to the end of last season. The Jaguars were 8-3 at one point last season. They seem to be in control. People were talking about them. Hey, are they the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC? The only game they've won since was when Trevor Lawrence was out and they started C.J. Beathard in like week 16 or 17 last year. Trevor Lawrence wins is not a quarterback stat, but he's certainly a big part of what they do. 0-8 in his last 8 starts. So that's the same guy who lost his last 5 starts last season, who they paid that $55 million per year. I was certainly in the camp where I was surprised that it got to that number, matching the highest APY at the time of any contract of any player in the NFL. Because you've seen the good of Trevor Lawrence, but you've also seen the bad. I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride for him so far in his career. These are the moments now where your highest paid player, your best player, has to play his best. Trevor Lawrence hasn't played at his best. There's going to be a lot of pressure because 0-3 is enough of a hole in the season. 0-4, you start to get to like that historic level where your playoff chances are diminished to under 1%. So this is a big game this week. There's no doubt about it. And they got to go face a Texans team that's still licking its wounds from the beating the Vikings put on them last week.
Tom, you're the best, dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate you showing us your false wall, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Am I going to see you in Green Bay? Are we going to hang out?
I will be right here in front of the false wall delivering the news on game day morning, Sunday morning.
Well, if you want to StreamYard to me, I'll come to you right from the stadium. It's up to
beautiful.
you.
I'll do that. Well, yeah, we can experiment. We can see how many echoes we can get.
I love it.
Thanks, Tom.
See you, man.
All right, Tom
Thanks
Pelissero, links to Bell Bank.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, please go ahead and nominate somebody. Go to KFAN.com and put in the keyword Bell right there and search for it. And nominate a charity to pay it forward. Thanks to our friends at Bell Bank. And by the way, I want to say real quick, a shout out to Ruby Clone. Everybody wear red on Tuesdays. Ruby Tuesday for Ruby Clone, who's doing some battling of her own. And is one of the Bell Bank families.
What a cool name.
Yeah.
That is a cool name.
Good luck to Ruby.
Yep, absolutely.
Another really cool name is Parker Fox. I would like to nominate you, Parker Fox, to get $1,000.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, NIL.
You have to give it away.
Okay.
You have to pay it forward to charity, but I would like to give it to you.
That's what I'm going to do anyway, Hawk.
Oh, good.
Yeah, exactly.
Adorable.
Good.
That's kind.
Parker Fox is here. The Power Trip Morning Show returns with Fan 5. And look, Sauce, you guys shook your head. You doubted me. I'm going to be rich. I'll explain why after this Power Trip Morning Show. Super filthy rich after this.
Phone on the wall and no time for frame.
Nothing to see.
The Fan.